Candace Owens just said what millions of people were too scared to even whisper. Meghan Markle's story doesn't make sense. She says the Duchess of Sussex has told lies so big, so carefully wrapped up in royal style that once you see through them, they could change everything people thought they knew. But here's what makes this different. For the first time, we're not just hearing opinions. We're hearing from someone on the inside. A hospital worker who was actually there, who knows how things really work behind those closed doors. The details they've shared aren't the kind you'll find in fancy magazines or staged interviews. They're raw, unfiltered, and straight up. The kind of truths that only slip out when the lights go off and the cameras are gone. This is the story no one was supposed to hear. A story that mixes Candace Owens' shocking discoveries with first-hand stories from inside Portland Hospital. If what you're about to hear is true, it doesn't just damage Meghan's story, it completely destroys it. So get ready, because the fairy tale of Archie's birth is about to crash into reality in ways that will make you question everything. Harry's book, Spare, left readers with a line they couldn't forget. Meghan had 2 epidurals. She gave birth at Portland Hospital and they were back at Frogmore Cottage within 2 hours. Let's stop here for a second. 2 epidurals. 2 hours home. For anyone who knows even the basics about having a baby, those words sound like puzzle pieces from 3 completely different puzzles. You can almost hear the record scratch, because the drive from Portland Hospital in London to Frogmore Cottage takes about an hour, sometimes longer depending on traffic. Which means if you take Harry's story literally, Meghan would have had to deliver, recover, pack up, and leave within 60 minutes of giving birth. All after getting not 1 but 2 epidurals, a medical procedure that needs monitoring, watching, and time. And that's not the only weird part. Meghan herself has given 3 different reasons for why the press wasn't told about Archie's delivery. She said they didn't want to block an emergency entrance. She said the press was racist and didn't deserve a photo. And she's also said they did tell the press and nobody showed up. 3 different versions of one event, and none of them perfectly match each other. Now, add another layer. Royal rules say that the Queen should be told the moment a royal goes into labor. According to what we're looking at tonight, that didn't happen. Which means if Meghan really was at Portland and really did deliver under royal protection, her own security guards would have broken hundreds of years of standing rules. From the very first breath of Archie's story, we're standing in a web of things that don't match up, and we're only at the starting line. Before we go deeper, let's look at Portland Hospital itself. This isn't your typical government hospital with a busy emergency room. Portland is private, exclusive, and designed to spoil you. But here's the important part. There is no public emergency department. None at all. What Portland does have are highly specialized units, a baby intensive care unit for premature or fragile babies, an enhanced maternal critical care unit for mothers with high-risk conditions. But anything that falls outside of what they handle, Portland doesn't keep you. They transfer you. If the situation gets worse, they call in the real experts at another hospital. That's critical to understand, because it means Portland's image, chandeliers, flowers, luxury rooms, only tells half the story. Yes, it's glamorous, but it's also not built to deal with major emergencies beyond a certain point. So, when we hear about 2 epidurals, emergency pain management, and a timeline so short it barely gives you time to do the paperwork, the question grows. Could Portland's setup have even supported this scenario the way it's been described? Or are we being sold a spa version of a story that should be based in the raw medical realities of giving birth? Now comes one of the strangest details of all, the so-called 2 epidurals. If you've ever talked with a doctor or a midwife, you know that an epidural isn't like taking Advil twice. It's a procedure. A small tube called a catheter is put into the spine. Once it's in place, doctors can adjust how much medicine you get as needed. Standard discharge. 3 to 4 days minimum. Anything less and you're playing Russian roulette with the mother's recovery. So, when we hear 2 epidurals, 2 hours home, it crashes straight into what medical professionals call impossible discharge timing. You don't roll out of surgery like you're leaving a dinner party. And if postpartum preeclampsia, which we'll get to shortly, was even something to worry about, then going home wasn't just unlikely. It was dangerous. This isn't being picky. It's about medical safety. Because having a baby isn't just about the baby arriving. It's about what happens in those crucial hours after. Here's where things get even stranger. According to Harry, the room was set up like a wellness retreat. A birthing ball, a tub, candles glowing, a dreamy spa-night version of labor. But Meghan was in her late 30s when Archie was born, which makes her what doctors call a geriatric pregnancy. It sounds harsh, but it's the medical term for pregnancies over 35. And here's the thing. Geriatric pregnancies are usually handled with more caution, not less. Consultants and doctors tend to push for tighter monitoring, fewer risks, and a clear plan for interventions. So, the picture doesn't fit. You don't usually see doctors encourage high-risk mothers to lean into water births, bouncing balls, and candlelight calm. Those things might work for a low-risk first-time mom in her 20s, but not someone who, medically speaking, needed eyes on her at all times. It's like hearing that a high-security vault was left unlocked because the guards thought it looked prettier that way. The details feel staged, made to paint a picture of comfort and control rather than one based in medical reality. And if Meghan truly faced conditions like preeclampsia or complications after delivery, the idea of scented candles becomes less charming and more alarming. Now we reach the center of the storm: preeclampsia. It's a word that sounds medical, but for mothers, it's terrifying. Preeclampsia is high blood pressure that strikes during or after pregnancy. It's not just about numbers on a chart. It can cause seizures, strokes, organ failure, and the only true cure: delivering the baby and then being watched constantly to make sure the condition doesn't spiral further. Our hospital insider, who gave birth at Portland years before Meghan, described her own nightmare with postpartum preeclampsia. Her blood pressure shot up to 230/130. To keep her alive, doctors put her on magnesium sulfate, a brutal treatment that burns in the veins and leaves you feeling drained. But it's the only line of defense against seizures. In her case, it turned into HELLP syndrome, a severe complication that attacks the liver and blood cells. She wasn't sent home. She wasn't walking around glowing with candles and takeout. She was under constant watch. Monitors, for drips, specialists checking her vitals hour by hour. So when Harry's book casually, but in a story already full of timing gaps and medical impossibilities, they act like hairline cracks in glass. Each small crack spreads until the whole pane starts to shatter. As if the timelines, rules, and hospital stories weren't enough, there are other disputes hanging in the air. One involves the very doctor said to have delivered Archie. Reports said it was Dr. Penelope Law, but another doctor later denied that she had been involved at all. One paper allegedly failed to verify, while another dug deeper and corrected the record. That's not a small difference. If the public was told one doctor delivered the royal baby when in fact she didn't, then what else was reported wrong? Then there's the miscarriage story. Harry described burying fetal remains at home after Meghan's miscarriage. But according to the discussion, California law treats those remains differently if the pregnancy was under 20 weeks, meaning his story doesn't line up with medical handling procedures. Add to this the odd detail of Abigail Spencer's version of events, which clashed with Harry's own retelling. It's like watching two actors read different scripts for the same role. These aren't just fuzzy memories. They're cracks in the official record. The kind that keep coming back no matter how carefully they're smoothed over. And so we end where we began, staring at contradictions too big to ignore. If Meghan truly had 2 epidurals, why doesn't the medical process match? If she faced preeclampsia, why does the timeline race past the very monitoring it demands? If the Queen was supposed to be told, why wasn't she? And if Portland was a place of luxury but limited crisis capacity, how does it fit the story of a birth that sounds more curated than clinical? The spa-like details, the midnight chicken, the secret elevator, the rapid discharge, each one adds a layer to a fairy tale that feels written for a storybook, not for a hospital chart. Candace Owens has called it out as lies. Our hospital insider has shared her lived medical truth. And the deeper we dig, the more explosive it becomes. Because this isn't just about Archie's birth. It's about trust, about what's said, what's hidden, and what it means when the most private of stories, the arrival of a child, becomes a public performance. At the end of the day, We're left with the one truth nobody can deny. Something in this story doesn't line up. And when the cracks are this wide, the whole fairy tale begins to crumble.